Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call to order the regular, or is this a special meeting of the Oklahoma City Sports Facilities Oversight Board agenda. And we're going to deviate slightly from our published agenda and move Mr. Jarney first on our program, and he's going to give us a report on the arena's work in hosting the NBA here. Gary?
Thank you. So, we had quite an exciting run in the playoffs this year, and while a little disappointing that the Thunder didn't win the entire thing, it was nothing short of an incredible experience for, I think, for everybody in Oklahoma City, and certainly no shortage of work for our staff. And so what we have here is just kind of a little bit of an overview of some of the behind-the-scenes things that most everybody really doesn't get to see, or with something, an event of the magnitude of the NBA Finals. So with that, I will see if we can get this moving. There we go. So for us, the finals really didn't begin in 2012. It actually began last summer, and for every summer we receive from the NBA a list of dates that we actually have to hold for the playoffs for the upcoming season, and generally that begins the first Saturday after the regular season ends and runs all the way through Game 7 of the finals. And the first part of that is pretty much every day we have to hold for a potential playoff game, and we don't necessarily know, no NBA team necessarily knows, where they're going to end up at the end of the year, but I think it's a pretty safe bet for the foreseeable future anyway, that we will be playing in the postseason. During the playoff run in Thunder Alley, we hosted pretty much approximately over 20,000 people in Thunder Alley. This is on top of everybody who had a ticket going to the games. For the games, we actually had, for the 10 playoff games, almost 180,000 people at every game. So quite a significant number of people that came down to be part of that experience that did not necessarily have a ticket to the game. The Thunder, to their credit, really wanted to try to bring their game experience out into the street, into the public, for everybody really to enjoy as a precursor of going into the game. So it was a wonderful way for just about anybody who really wanted to be part of the Thunder experience to be able to go down and enjoy it. The two games that we had were on June 12 and 14. We had roughly, again, 18,000 guests that were in attendance, over 500 members of the media covering the game, and just over 700 staff members between our staff, the SMG staff, the Thunder staff, and NBA staff that were actually working the games. For every game, even during the regular season, what we do, we monitor how the building is loading and when people are arriving and how they arrive and what entrances they actually come through. This shows what we did with Game 1 and how the building actually loaded. The green on the bar there is the northeast entry. The yellow or gold is the northwest entry, and the pink is the VIP entry. And this is typical, and this shows it in 5-minute increments. And what this does is it allows us to see if we're having any issues at any one particular entry to get people through the building. For the finals, we actually backed our door opening up by 30 minutes. So instead of having an hour and a half doors, we backed it up to 2 hours to make sure that we could, in fact, get everybody into the building and do a proper security search as you came through the building. And I'll touch on that in a little bit. This slide shows pretty much all the spaces that were used for either us or the Thunder or the NBA for making this happen and pulling this off. Some of our storage rooms were converted into either media dining or media workrooms. The post-game interview room was actually in one of our storage rooms. We had dressing rooms for the commissioner, for the national anthem singers, for the halftime entertainment. ESPN and TNT for the Western Conference Finals both set up studios or interview areas in what is actually now a new locker room as part of the renovation. One of the new locker rooms we ended up using for that. The new storage room we ended up using for media dining, and the Thunder were able to use their entire locker room complex. But this kind of shows pretty much every space that we had on the event level was used in one way, shape, or form. The one thing that we could not accommodate inside the building was the media credentialing and the NBA credentialing, and that was actually done in the convention center and the Blue Line Lounge. So we used pretty much every resource that was available to us. A couple of things, again, just to note on what we went through in order to pull it off that we don't typically have for most events in the arena. 4 new media work areas. We installed 250 video monitors for the media, 500 internet connections for all of the temporary media areas, both in their workspace and in the 300 level in the upper bowl of the arena, as well as 500 phone lines. So every person that was covering the game in the bowl actually had a phone line and an internet connection. We converted one of our suites into the sports center, basically the sports center studio. So the entire suite was gutted. We took out all the furniture, we removed the cabinets, we removed the seating, built a platform. ESPN came in and brought in all of their equipment, the cameras, lights, what have you. We had to run power to this space, which is over and above what we would normally do. There's really not a whole lot of this type of power on the suite level, so our staff ran the service and power which you would be accustomed to seeing down on the event level, actually in our suite level. A couple other little items. I mentioned the security in the building loading. We did increase our security. Everybody that came into the building in preparation of the finals had to have a photo credential to get into the building. We searched pretty much everybody coming into the building, including Commissioner Stern. And everybody who went into the building through the searches, and we did utilize city, state, and federal resources to make this happen. This could not have happened without the cooperation of the city, the OKC PD, who did a phenomenal job, the fire department. Just hats off to them to be able to pull this off. So everybody that went in, we did a pretty substantial search, and in some ways we were searching for some pretty bad materials from everybody who came in, and a lot of these, actually all of that was done without being obtrusive and invasive and still making our guests feel welcome. But everybody was in fact searched for it. Little interesting note is the floor decals that had the finals on it had to be replaced before every practice and before each game. So it wasn't just putting the decal down and then it went. Our staff, after every practice, we had to remove them and then reinstall a new set. So everything looked pristine on TV and for the media days, for the practices, and for the games. One of our challenges was, in fact, climate control. Keeping the temperature warm enough for the players when they warm up, and then keeping it cool enough for the guests when you're expecting 18,000 people coming into the building is a little bit of a challenge. So, especially when it's 95 degrees outside and doors open for cabling and media cabling and that sort of thing. So that was a little bit of a challenge for us. And a number of VIPs that were coming to the games that were sitting courtside, which included Jimmy Goldstein, which I think a lot of people saw on TV, and you pretty much see him at a lot of our playoff games. And every now and then a regular season game or two, because he enjoys coming to Oklahoma City. Sarah Evans, Jessica Sanchez, Adrian Peterson, and Lil Wayne. On the F&B end, once we popped doors open and about 15 to 20 minutes into door opening, we were selling about $1,000 a minute of food and beverage. So we were going through a lot of inventory for each game, and you can see there, roughly 2,500 hot dogs, 1,500 bags of popcorn, 8,000 soft drinks, 10,000 beers, and 5,000 bottled waters, and that's per game. I mentioned that we had a number of media coming. While we had 500 media that were there actually covering the game, there are 1,800 credentialed media in Oklahoma City. The games were broadcast to over 200 different countries and in 47 different languages. The photos that you see there on that particular slide show the one on the top right there is one of our storage rooms that we converted to the media workroom, so you can see what we had done there. And just completely cleared out the storage room and set that up for our work area. Again, every one of those workspaces had internet connectivity as well as a phone line for them to be able to do their work. The one down at the bottom left shows the temporary media areas up in the 300 level where we had to actually physically remove the seats, build platforms, and then again run power, phones, internet, and TV monitors for the media up there. And then the one down in the bottom at the bottom center is the media compound that was on Robinson. 227 international journalists were in Oklahoma City covering the games, 90 international TV, radio, and online broadcasts from Oklahoma City, and ranged in this year anyway, we were new countries that broadcast for the very first time. Included Cameroon and Georgia and Ghana, Greece, which is a little surprising because basketball is pretty big in Greece, Mexico, Mongolia, Russia, South Africa, and Turkey. Again, you see these pictures, the two media areas with the tables set up like a dining area, that's actually the new storage room that's part of the renovation. That space that did not exist before the renovation started. And then the other one that you see there is the opposite side of the workroom, which was the north end of our storage room that was turned into the interview room. This particular picture, while you can't necessarily see it, the physical size of that was about 3.5 feet long and about 1.5 feet wide, and that shows the media seating assignments. And we had media coverage from every network that you probably have ever heard of, and the majority you probably have never heard of. And these networks ranged everywhere from ABC to Al Jazeera, from a lot of different countries, and they were everywhere. This is a footprint of the media space and the media compound for ESPN. So that shows kind of where they were located on Robinson. The one thing that ESPN and ABC do for the finals is they will not use any power associated with the building or shore power. They will they power their entire broadcast off of generators. And that is pretty much to make sure that they have 100% guarantee that their power for their broadcast is going to be free and clear of any power spikes or any power interruptions. So part of that footprint did include 2 generators that were brought in by CAT to power that compound up. Mentioned the temporary seating that we had to build in the 300 level, and you can see a picture there of the 5 sections that we had to remove the seats and build the platforms. And that's a close-up of 3 of the sections there that show those areas. And down on the event level, we actually added this the day that ESPN started loading in, and this is the ESPN temporary cabling that they brought in on the event level. So we added these hangers at the top of that wall there, and literally as we were hanging those hangers, ESPN was right behind us, putting their cabling right on top of it. And the reason that we did that was it was either that or have the cables down on the floor. And all of this cabling went all the way back out to their media compound that was out on Robinson. So there was a penetration made in the exterior of the building, bringing it all the way down a stairwell, and then we made penetrations through a few walls, and then put the hangers in there so that they were able to run all their cabling. This particular platform is located over the visiting player entry for the Western Conference Finals. This is where TNT was set up, and for the finals, NBA TV was set up right over that entry. And it's just a different angle of where that was located. And right behind it, and right on the top of that, you can see the ESPN suite that was built out. One thing that, again, I probably should emphasize on this is, on this entire experience, actually two things. One is it took an entirety of cooperation, just unbelievable cooperation from a lot of different organizations to pull this off. And I already referenced the police department, but the police department, the fire department, Public Works, Parks and Recreation, and the city's IT staff just did a phenomenal job. We could not have done all of that work and without and hosted this event to the success that we did without the cooperation of all of those entities. It just would not have happened. And the other thing is that, and I should point out, is that the experience for the NBA in Oklahoma City was received extremely well by the NBA. We heard this both directly from the NBA and also through the Thunder. And between our staff, the SMG staff, and the Thunder staff, throughout the regular season, the high degree of level of performance that is expected during the regular season made us perform at a pretty high level for the NBA. And it was unlike anything that most of their experience and the typical experience that the NBA has, simply because most of the time that they're asked for something, they're told no. Well, that's not what happened here in Oklahoma City. Between the Thunder and our organization, we figured out a way to make things happen for the NBA, and that was, again, we heard it time and time again from their staff that was, it was unusual and it was refreshing for them to experience. So extremely proud of our SMG staff and of our 800 employees that we have on our payroll, because they absolutely did a phenomenal job, not just on this event, but the entire year. We had a number of staff, I mentioned the media build out, who literally were working all day long, would go home maybe for a few hours to catch a few winks, and then they were right back at it in order to pull this off and do it in such a compressed time frame after Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals. So that pretty much concludes my report on the NBA Finals. Be happy to answer any questions.
Gary, have you got it all torn down and back normal now?
Well, we're getting there. The today would have been Game 7, but today we also have Ringling Brothers loading into the building, so there's really no rest for us yet. We haven't reinstalled all the seats in the 300 level, but we pretty much have everything ready to go down on the event level for Ringling Brothers.
Great job. Any other questions? Yeah.
The seats that you replaced back, that you took out, I take it those were season ticket seats. I mean, how are you prepared for that type of build out? I was just curious about that seat.
Well, the Thunder pretty much managed that entire process. And for the finals, there's a plan that has to be submitted to the NBA as to where the media seating is going to be located. Once that plan is approved, and when they put the finals tickets on sale and the playoff tickets on sale, those areas for those particular games where we know the media we're going to have to build out if we make it that far, are not put on sale to the general public. In this particular case, we were almost 100% there. We had to build out a little bit more than what the plan had included. So there were a few season ticket relocates or playoff ticket relocates that had to be accommodated, but the Thunder had already had a plan in place for that, so really it was almost a non-issue.
Relating to the presentation of the basketball games, with the exception maybe of Thunder Alley being closed. Some people didn't like that idea.
Well, the Thunder Alley is quite a remarkable experience and a game day experience for everybody coming down, and that was the original design and intent of that, was to get everybody in the mood for going into the arena and having a great time and experience what the Thunder brand is all about. And the Thunder do an exceptional job of the level of performance and the expectation that they have both on and off the court. And one thing that we always say, and the Thunder say it and we say it, for the Thunder experience, is that really can't control what happens on the court, but we can control everything else. And that's part of it. And the Thunder, the Thunder Alley is quite a feat to be able to pull off, even as it was. And then which devolved into the watch party. And frankly, there were so many people and so many other issues with the numbers of people that were starting to come down for the watch party. It basically became unmanageable as to where do you put everybody. There's only so much space there. But it's a great thing for everybody to feel a part of what's happening in Oklahoma City. And even now, I mean, I see the flags flying on cars as I'm coming to work and going home, and it's been unbelievable for the city of Oklahoma City.
Anything else? Gary, thank you very much. And once again, congratulations.
To all of us.